if you're going to be a get the bag guy, and in the NBA, we know they created the rule: you stay with your team, you get the super max, okay, and only your team can pay you more than any other team can pay you at that time. He's a get the bag guy. Get the bag guys cannot complain when their career is basically done and say, "Oh, I need my love just because I didn't win the big one doesn't mean I don't." No, you got the bag. Be satisfied with the bag, because you could have left 4 years ago and went to Milwaukee, and you could have been a prime Damian Lillard with a prime Giannis.
On that title team?
On that title team. But you wanted to get the bag. You could have went to several championship contending teams, took a little less money. It's not you're not taking $200 million less money. You're taking a little bit less, like KD did, like LeBron did, like these other guys who left their situation because they know that their team wasn't going to have enough talent to compete on that championship level. Damian Lillard was on a podcast recently, and he was just talking about his career. Of course, Damian Lillard is a guy who's probably out of his prime. He's out of his prime for sure, on the back end of his career. And so he wants more shine. He wants more credit. He wants more love. He says he believes his skills deserve more recognition in the league. Okay, he talked about how when you think about the players who came in around the same time he did, a lot of those guys aren't around anymore.
Who are those
Some
players?
of those guys aren't performing at the same level. I'm going to get there. And then he says he doesn't get enough credit for his shot making. He says, of course, if you want to put Curry one, you can put Curry one, but he definitely feels he should be this, in the conversation for the second greatest shooter ever. And especially when you talk about deep shots, contested shots, he feels like he is not respected enough or gets enough love. And he feels like he is a winner. He says, I've won in Portland and did things like that. So what do you think about that?
Again, manage your life. It's an idiotic statement. You will never get the respect you crave if you ask for it. Respect is earned, not asked for. And
do you think he deserves it?
No. I mean, he's been a really good player for some very average Portland teams. In the hierarchy of NBA greatness, that doesn't measure up. I mean, he's for me probably a Hall of Fame career. But
that's not saying much because you put everybody in there.
No, I respect a man's career. He's had his fantastic statistics. Almost all of his career was on winning record teams. He did have some playoff success, some playoff moments, not at the super high level, but I have no problem. This guy, again, he also represents a guy that, kind of came from like the off the radar college and kind of ground his way to NBA stardom. I respect all that. You've had a great career, but what do you deserve beyond that? You're not a champion. You're not a guy that's regarded as the top player in your position ever in your career. You mentioned the football thing. Mm-hmm. Like, what year in NBA history has he even been the best point guard in the Western Conference, let alone the first team All NBA?
The league, yeah.
You've never been in an MVP discussion,
right?
Ever. Like, this is what you are. Don't ask for more. Do more.
I'm more of a Dame Lillard guy than Peak is traditionally. I do respect Dame's game a lot, but I still think that these comments were just completely misplaced. But from this standpoint, if you're going to be a get the bag guy, and in the NBA, we know they created the rule: you stay with your team, you get the super max, okay, and only your team can pay you more than any other team can pay you at that time. He's a get the bag guy. Get the bag guys cannot complain when their career is basically done and say, "Oh, I need my love just because I didn't win the big one doesn't mean I don't." No, you got the bag. Be satisfied with the bag, because you could have left 4 years ago and went to Milwaukee, and you could have been a prime Damian Lillard with a prime Giannis.
on that title team.
On that title team. But you wanted to get the bag. You could have went to several championship contending teams, took a little less money. It's not you're not taking $200 million less money. You're taking a little bit less, like KD did, like LeBron did, like these other guys who left their situation because they know that their team wasn't going to have enough talent to compete on that championship level.
No, I agree. I mean, and I said this a couple years ago on the show. I think there's a part of Dame Lillard, like in the prime of his career, that was afraid. That was afraid to put championship expectations on himself, to be in a team or a situation where it's like you either win the title or this is a disappointment. And I think he took the comfort and familiarity of Portland. He took the bag in Portland, and he played out the prime of his career. When they clearly went into like we are rebuilding mode, then he goes to Milwaukee, but also not a great Milwaukee team anymore. You lose Drew Holiday in the trade to get you, and Giannis is not what he was a few years ago, and that's this is not really a title contending team. So you kind of maybe put yourself in Portland plus, but not title 10.
Yeah, and you converted me into a Giannis guy, but Giannis made one of those LeBron mistakes, really champion that trade after you just won a championship with Drew. And I know it's Dame, and Dame has that aura and he has that name, but you have to see that he's past his prime, and it's only going to go downhill from there. If you're Giannis, you have to see that. Like I just won a championship with Drew locking down like the entire backcourt of every team we played. I understand Dame is a better offensive player. I don't know if he was thinking because a lot of the talk was pick and rolls, Dame and Giannis. Yeah. Maybe he's thinking that, but like why change that up?
Right.
You're one of the top defensive teams. You lean on defense. You're a defensive stalwart. Drew is. Brook Lopez protects the paint well at that time. That was just a huge mistake, and like I said, LeBron has made that mistake several times in his career.
Yeah,
and it was just a bad one because, and by all accounts and by all records, Giannis was the first one with his hand up, like
pushing
make this deal.
Yeah, no, a really bad mistake, and I think that the failure of the Bucks since the title, for me, has more to do with the poor health and diminished ability of Middleton than anything else. He was very good in those days, and he's missed a lot of time. He's had a lot of stretches where he hasn't been playing at a high level. Yeah. And Drew's Drew. He's still Drew. Giannis, I think there are signs of decline with Giannis. Yeah. But Middleton was the third piece of that. He's fallen off the most for me personally in terms of performance. And that's why they're in the situation. And the Lillard, it was, again, stop going for these aging fucking guys and thinking that their resume is going to equate with a super team. It just doesn't work that way.
It just doesn't, man. It just doesn't. The best thing I ever heard you say, which hasn't been many.
I was about to say this is like a deep, deep well of stuff.
It's the why, talking about the tiers of contracts in NBA, and the guys on the back end of their careers are eligible to make the most money, and that just doesn't make any. When you said that, that doesn't make any sense. Why come Damian Lillard at the end of his career, guys, whatever, 12, 15 plus years in the league, can make more money than Anthony Edwards, than Victor Wembanyama, and like Wembanyama on this next contract that he signs, he should be able to be the highest paid player in the league.
Yes,
it shouldn't be because this guy played whatever 10 years plus in the league, he's eligible for a super max, 15 years in the league. That's dumb.
Yeah, it's not good business.
It's tied to years of service and performance, like all NBAs and things of that nature.
But the reality is like a super max for a guy with 10 or 12 years experience is going to be way higher than a super max for a guy going to his first non-rookie deal contract. But that guy is in the prime of his career.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Like
upside down.
But if you think about who runs like the Players Association,
The older
like
guys.
Chris Paul, the older guys, like they're getting what they want.
Yeah,
This is like, hey, increase the veterans minimum, those sort of
All
issues,
of those
because
things.
those are close. It's hard on those guys.
And the young guys aren't really complaining because they came from nothing. They're getting whatever
they're-
$20 million.
Yeah, they're new money. And they're just happy to be along for the ride.
Yeah.
And in their mind, most of them are like, well, yeah, I'm gonna be there one day, and I'll
Anyway.
be getting that damn.
Do you think that the agents are getting hip to that and they're trying to change that?
I don't think the
No,
agents
agents
have
aren't
any
trying
power
to
in that.
change.
They don't care.
Because it's not that they care or don't care. It's part of the collective bargaining agreement between the league and the Players Association.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that fight is
Can't
fought.
change it. They're
Once you agree to that collective bargaining agreement, that's what it is.
Yeah.
So when they reopen that, but again, you're still sitting there like the Players Association guys with leverage are the veteran guys. They're respected for their knowledge, experience, and again, you look at that thing too, like they're like the idols of half the younger dudes in the league who are kind of finding their way. So not going to be like, hey, fuck you, Chris. Yeah, I think you're bullshit on this. I need to make more money than you. Like, it's just not a realistic scenario.
That's why the NFL is so screwed. Because their whole contract situation is just god awful. And it has so much to do with that players union and the way they set it up, and the guys on the because the majority rules in the NFL, and the majority of the players are the guys who are fringe NFL players, the back end guys.
Oh, yeah.
So when they vote for things, they can't make a stand and almost like shut out, have a league cancellation, because most of those guys are the ones that are voting, and it's like they can't withstand a season or two off.
Yeah.
A season off.
The majority of the players in the NFL, because the careers are so short and so fickle, are like fringe guys.
Yeah.
And so they can't suffer a lockout. They can't
lockout is the word I was looking for.
do too many things negotiation wise, because they're desperate to stack that money.
Yeah, exactly.
Before they're out of the league.
So is it true that the football contracts are
Not guaranteed, right?
basketball?
It depends, right? So there's only two fully guaranteed contracts in the NFL right now, and before that there were none. So Kirk Cousins was the first, but his current contract is not guaranteed. And now you have Deshaun Watson, who is fully guaranteed.
Yeah.
There's two people that are fully guaranteed, and the rest no. But you do have, like, of course, you have a certain portion of your contract that is guaranteed. That's why they say guaranteed money is what counts.
When you see an NFL contract, you're gonna say, well, 3 years for $50 million, and then like the biggest thing you're gonna look at is, well, 21 guaranteed.
Boom.
And a lot of that will come in like a signing bonus, which will be a lump sum check. So you get 21 out of the 50. But then for the actual season, you're maybe making like $9 million per year per season.
And of course, you're heavily taxed because it's on that 21.
Yeah.
Especially depending on what state you're in.
And then you can also do the contract's usually built in so they could maybe cut you after year 2, so they don't even end up paying that third year, and you don't get that money.
Yeah.
So you're walking away with through 2 years you get $40 million. You're never touching the 3 for 50. Which is what went out in the press release.
And then the biggest thing is the retired players wanting health benefits, because it's such a brutal sport. By the time you're done, your body is all screwed up. But it's such a sticking point for the owners, to where you're going to have to like really make a stand to get that. And the current players, they just don't think that far down the line. They want their money now, and it's like, we have other things to fight for versus health benefits after we're retired.